people in power, whether red or blue, they could not care less about Texas, me and you. They created this give me country that don't value hard work. For a Texan to survive, all we need are some seeds and dirt. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. We believe in family and we value our community. Gladly lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need. And we don't believe that government should provide for all of society's needs. No, it's the pride of a Texan to give to others voluntarily. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. They like our tax dollars and they love our natural resources. They don't want to see us driving trucks, they'd rather see us riding horses. And now they want to ban our guns, you know, especially the ones that look scary. But may I remind you of the Gonzales Cannon and the Alamo heroes we buried. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. This last verse is straight from the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 and 2. Look it up. Texas is an independent state, yet presently we suffer. We no longer possess the right to locally self-govern. And now it's time as a people in which all political power is inherent. And in such manner we find expedient, we reform or abolish our government. I said, Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Wow, it's been a hot minute since we've been together. I'm back. Yes, coffee in hand and everything. And we're going to have us a little bit of late night coffee talk tonight. Can I honestly say that I have missed you? I've missed doing this. But as I have always said, it's about circumstances, right? And I have kept a pretty good track record of being here with you once a week after week after week. But sometimes there are scheduling issues that just can't be avoided, right? And this has been one of those times. So we'll get into that here in a minute. For those of you just joining us for the first time, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement, and this is Late Night Coffee Talk. This is that time, typically in the middle of the week, where I take a break from what I'm working on, grab yet another cup of coffee, and spend some time with you guys, right? Talk about what's on my mind, what's going on with TEXIT and the TNM and Texas politics in general, and take your questions, right? I make myself available for questions all the time. I'm pretty doggone accessible that way. So that is going to be, I think, I bet some of you have a lot of questions tonight. I am speculating. But let's get some housekeeping out of the way before I tell you what's been going on, right? Because, I mean, it's been almost a month, I think, since we were together last, and not quite, but almost. And I'm going to share some background with you, let you know what's been going on, why I haven't been here. But let's do the housekeeping stuff first, right? If you are watching on either of the YouTube channels, be sure to drop your questions in chat. I do not use super chat tonight, and I'm going to explain why. We're going to get to it here in a minute. But if you got a burning question, a comment, whatever it is, jump in the chat, drop your question in there, or just visit with other TEXIT supporters. I'm sure they would love to meet you and have some banter. I think we've had some lifelong friends made through their connection in the TNM, and so go ahead, get in that chat and do what you got to do. If you're watching on either of the Facebook pages, be sure to like and comment and share. Oh yeah, and I did not say this. Hit like if you're watching on the YouTube channels. Hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime we go live or when we post a new video, and just share, spread the word. We need you to be able to help us connect with other TEXIT supporters all over the place. And, this can be a good way to introduce brand new people to the ideas that we're talking about, the community at large. Take the opportunity. As you can hear, I am still a little bit kind of snorked up, but we'll get to that here in a bit. So I have been away for a bit. As you guys know, I say that I try to do this every Wednesday night. Sometimes we have to slip it in on a Thursday, but bottom line is try to do it on a regular weekly basis. And the exceptions to that are if I'm on the road, in which case I try to do these live streams for you while I'm on the road, depending on whether or not we have adequate internet to cover it, or I'm not speaking in the middle of speaking to a crowd or whatever. I have to be here at this particular time. And sometimes when we do these speaking engagements, I don't get out in time. And so, there's that aspect of it. So that's kind of my caveat, right? It's as I can, if I can take a break from the work that we do. And the last several weeks have been a lot of on the road, with the exception of last week, right? I was feeling under the weather. And like I said, we'll talk about that. But since the last time we were together, the Monday following, I was on a panel with former state representative Kyle Biederman and Matt Frazier with the Texan Token. We spoke on a panel at the Independent National Convention there in Austin on TEXIT and self-determination, which was phenomenal. We had a great one. I think it was probably one of the more enthusiastic panels that they had there. Actually, hang on. You know what I've got for you? I got things, man. I got proof. I have proof of the things that I say. Look at that. Look at all that travel, right? Right there, you can see a couple of pictures of the booth that our volunteers had at the Independent National Convention. Left there, went and spoke in Bay Cliff to our local TNM group there in Bay Cliff. Bounced out of Bay Cliff right back out toward the Austin area, spoke in Niederwald to an organization there, a room full of enthusiastic people, and then made a beeline over to Llano and spoke to the Llano Tea Party, which had a packed house. There's one of those pictures there, but it was absolutely a full room. Got to see our good friend, another former state representative, Alan Fletcher was there. I mean, you know, we had our local group there, our local coordinator and deputy local coordinator. All of our guys were there. Had plenty of volunteers. And so Llano Tea Party was a phenomenal event. So got done with Llano, got back home and was sick and literally had 2 days to try to get through it and get operational. And literally that's what happened. 2 days. And then Monday back on the road. And so Monday wound up at, golly, man, I can't remember where I was Monday. I mean, it literally has been like that. We were in Stephenville, right? We were guests of the True Texas Project organization out there, and then on Tuesday, True Texas Project there in where were we at? Kaufman County, Rockwall, Kaufman County, and so phenomenal events there too. Had a great time with everyone, but I came home and immediately just crashed out again. I just was really fighting whatever that was. Something's going around. Who knows what it is? But anyway, long story short, you know, it's kind of the same song and dance, although there are people out there that swear up and down no one is excited for this. No one wants this to happen. There's nowhere that we go that people aren't excited for Texas independence. Right? Even, you know, we go to these places and it's an amazing thing. I mean, you know, you go in and some people have no idea about the issue. Some people already super excited about it. Some people are opposed. But I mean, you know, the bottom line is we're not hitting any rooms anywhere where people are just like this overwhelming majority say, nah, no thanks. People are fired up. They're excited. They're upset about a lot of things. They're upset at the speed with which the Texas legislature is moving on this issue. And, you know, we'll talk about that here in a bit too. They're upset that some of them are hearing about this for the first time. You know, they're like, where has this been? Why have I been tilting at windmills trying to fix the federal government when TEXIT was here for us all along? You know? So, I mean, it's, you know, but other than that, it's just an excitement, and it's easy to understand why, right? It's easy to understand why. You know, you look at the federal system and you realize that when you look at sort of the way politics are here in Texas, our relationship with the federal government, you look at all these things, you realize that people are excited because Texas is the first hope they've had in a very long time to change things, right? That their voice will matter. And I'll tell you, it's interesting because I've been talking about some new things, and you guys will have to forgive me. Oh, by the way, if you have questions, watch the crawler at the bottom. You can email them to coffeetalk@tnm.org, and we'll get to those. I can already see some starred questions, so I'll be getting to those here in a bit. But yeah, look, you know, we talk about a lot of, or at least I do. I don't ever prep a speech, not one. I don't go in with notes or an outline. I talk to people ahead of when we're going to meet, and find out, you know, what's on their minds. You know, find out what they're concerned. What do they want to know about it? But there are some things that I've started talking about that we have not really been talking about before. For example, this entire run on the road, I talked more about the average voter turnout for independence referendums than I have ever. And the reason being is because it has a really huge impact on what we're trying to do. You know, it is a massive reason that TEXIT, we refer to TEXIT as such a game changer, right? We refer to TEXIT as the thing that changes everything, right? You want to clean out political corruption. You want to break the back of a political establishment. You know, you want to make a real difference. That number is significant. There's not been an election here in Texas in recent times at all that had an 85% voter turnout. It's never happened. Imagine for a moment when we can re-engage people that are thinking like us, that just want to be able to exercise the right of self-government, and we put 85% of Texas voters into the polls. And we know that TEXIT has 60% or more support, right? And for those for that insufferable troll on Twitter who's just jealous because his organization died and ours didn't. If you want to know where those poll numbers are, go look it up, right? It's on our website. It's not like we've hidden them. And look, I'm not going to do your job for you. I mean, if you're insufferable and lazy, that's on you. It's not on us, right? But the point here is that we know north of 60%, support this. So what does that mean? That means you're going to put somewhere between 8.6 and 9.2 million pro-Texit voters in the polls anytime that you get a vote on this thing. And it's an amazing thing. And the good news about that is that's more votes, more voters, more pro-Texit voters than all the votes cast for every single gubernatorial candidate in the last governor's election. That's enough to run the table on anything. And when we're telling people this out there, they see it and the light bulb goes off and suddenly they understand why we say no other issue draws the kind of passion that our issue does. And because of that, it is the one issue that gives us an opportunity to fix everything. Now, it's not utopia, right? It's not. We're going to have to fight. We're going to have to scratch. We're going to have to claw. It's no promise of utopia. But when have you ever had a block of 8.5 to 9.25 million voters that are focused on the idea of self-government and self-determination and looking at making fundamental changes in their governmental relationships? When have you ever had that? You never have. That's why this is a movement and why it's the most important issue. It's one of the reasons that we say, look, you can bicker over all these other little policy issues, and I'm not saying they're not important, but what I am saying, and what we're trying to convey to people is, you can hack at the branches or you could strike the root. Take your pick. This is the one thing that changes everything. And so we have to pour everything into it. That's why I do things like go home, take every piece of over-the-counter medication I possibly can when I'm sick, and get back out on the road in 2 days. Because this message is too important. The mission is too important to be ridiculous, to be, I can't do it, or to do whatever. Sometimes you have to pay a wicked price. And the other part of this too is you got to have a sort of a long-term vision, right? You've got to look at this in the long term. I wrote an entire chapter in my book about this, about the things that hold TEXIT back. And one of the things I talk about was the political short-sightedness, right? This idea that people get locked into these 2-year cycles, and if they don't get what they want in 2 years, they want to take their ball and bat and go home. It's like, you don't understand. You don't get what it takes to build a nation. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to get it. But leaders will, and they will stick it through. They'll see it through and get it done. We had Dr. Quartrup here for about 8 or 9 days, a couple months ago or last month. This is April, so it was last month. And he was talking about his book. And if you haven't read his book, you need to. But one of the things he talked about was that building a nation, politics is a bare knuckle sport, right? It's a bare knuckle boxing match. It's rough. And, so sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield. Most of the time, thankfully for us, we're the windshield. We always make advancements, and even with the current issues related to the bill and what's going on in the legislature, we're still making progress, right? So we've always said the opposition plays checkers and we play chess. Our side is set on victory, and they've got to play defense all the time. And I love keeping them on defense. So that being said, let me do this. Look, I am so happy to see all you guys on here. I've missed y'all. I've got the chat over here. As you guys could tell, things look a little bit different here, right? I'm a little bit farther back. Things are changing here. There's some things happening, and you'll start seeing some changes over the next few weeks. But um, they're all good. You'll appreciate it. But yeah, it's so good to see you guys on here. Let me do this before I start talking about some of this other stuff. Let me look at it. I'll take a few questions, look at them, and see. Okay, I'm going to hold these toward a little bit later. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with the bill. Look, our ledge team has been at the Capitol every single solitary week. They have been visiting with legislators and staff. They have been stellar, and I'm gonna share some things with you guys that you need to hear, because I don't know, some of you may not have been here last month, but the reports on y'all have been amazing. They are, number one, they're complimentary of the organization. They say we're one of the most organized organizations working the Capitol this session. The one sheet handout that we provided for you guys to give to the legislators and staff has received numerous compliments. The level of phone calls, you guys are being respectful. You are being heard. Although we'll talk about what's going on with those legislators. And so, you're making headway. Now, does that translate into getting us a hearing, or does that translate into getting these legislators to sign on? I don't know. I don't know that that's translating properly. I think to a certain degree, other things are affecting that, but I wanted y'all to know that you've been stellar. Our ledge team has been stellar. You guys have done everything that you can. And it would be great to have more of it, right? I mean, it would be phenomenal to have far more of that. So, the bottom line here is that we are in a spot where this bill is concerned, where external circumstances have really conspired to cut our legs out from under us, and it's a problem. Doesn't mean we don't have any place. And I see someone posted a comment that Rep Hunter's not going to put HB 3596 to a hearing. Well, it says you shouldn't have misled us like that, Daniel. Well, no. You don't know the conversations that were had before all hell broke loose at the Capitol. Now, I'm not going to speak to this much because I cannot and I should not. But I think we're all fairly aware of some of the issues that are surrounding Representative Brian Slate right now. And that's a problem. And anyone who thinks that doesn't affect the calculus at the Capitol is just mistaken. It has become a serious issue. And so I'm not going to speak to the allegations against him because I don't know anything about it. I don't, he's not my rep. I don't live his life, and it's being investigated as far as I know. It's got nothing to do with us other than the fact that as the person who filed our bill, it hamstrings us. Now, we're looking at every option on the table, but the fact that Slayton's name is attached to the bill has become seriously problematic for getting some things done related to the bill, specifically 3596. That is a function, kind of like I talked about when he filed the bill, or when we were trying to get him to file the bill. That's a function of elections have consequences. If we had more clear pro-TEXIT legislators going into the legislative session, we wouldn't have this problem, but we do. So, as I said, a lot of options are on the table. We are looking at right now to try to move some of these things along, splitting up pieces of the bill and trying to put them on as amendments to other bills. We're also working other legislation. You guys have probably seen some of those. But, the fact of the matter is that it kind of just moves along, right? We make whatever headway we can, and we continue to ramp up the pressure. But, comments like this, saying that that someone was misled about it. No, not at all. Go back and look exactly what I've had to say, and then you will know your comment is out of line and out of order, and frankly, it's false. So maybe you should not be the one misleading people. That being said, look, we got a ton. I mean, we got a ton of options moving forward. We're working on all of them. Some of them are going to involve what you guys involved in your local areas. But again, this is a bit of a long game. I would have preferred that what happened with Slayton did not happen for a multitude of reasons, not just about our bill. I think it's devastating, and I don't know. Again, I'm not here to talk about the allegations specifically or come down one way or the other on them. As I said, it's being investigated, and it will all come out in the wash. But I do know that it has ultimately hampered our ability to advance 3596 in a way that needs to be done. Now, does that mean that we can't do some other things with 3596? Well, we're doing those. We're working on those. So, we're doing everything we can. We're doing everything we can. And the fact of the matter is, still keep calling. You cannot stop. You cannot stop putting the pressure on. And I think this gets to understanding strategically where this lies. You continue to work bills. This is the way these things work, right? You continue to work this issue over and over and over until you build pressure. It's like a snowball rolling downhill until the pressure is such that a vote cannot be denied. Okay, so you still have an opportunity, right? So let's say worst case scenario, the bill goes, it croaks this session, right? We wind up not getting a hearing, which again, a hearing is still going to be problematic, but it's still not outside the realm of possibility. It could happen. It could happen. It's going to be hard, and it gets harder with every passing day, and the fact that this stuff is happening with the bill author. But let's say we don't get it. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that suddenly Texas independence is not the way to go? That's not what it means at all. It means that we don't have the right people in place in Austin to get it across. So what do we have to do? That means we got to ratchet up the pressure again. That's right. We got to turn it up. What does that mean? Well, there's a lot of options, and a lot of those options we're going to be talking about. Look, we're getting close to San Jacinto Day here. And when May ratchets over, you're going to start seeing some things from us dealing specifically with things that we're going to start. Like we already said this, we were going to start the next phase of this before the end of the legislative session, right? So again, should be no surprise to anyone. And that was either going to be we're ramping up for a vote on TEXIT in November, or we're going to ramp up to build enough pressure to change the landscape so we get a vote. The sooner the better, right? I mean, there's a lot of scenarios. There's always a way to win. Some have a higher probability than others, but the bottom line is there's always a way to win. So, it's just the way that it is. And so, look, for those of you out there that are fighting the good fight, you're slogging it out. You don't have a you don't have a short-sighted view of this thing. If you're all in on Texas independence, then this is what we do. We fight it out till it gets done. So I'm telling you, keep calling the Capitol. Keep calling Todd Hunter's office. Keep calling. Because, there could be a scenario where we go, okay, look, you don't even, sometimes you don't look to precedents. You set a precedent. I don't know that there's ever been a precedent like this where you had an author of a bill kind of, all this kind of stuff happen around them. What happens to their legislation? I don't know what that scenario is. And I haven't found anyone at the Capitol who can tell me, could you have a joint author sign on and then lay out the bill and then have the original author pull off of it, or depend on, I don't know. No one knows. But we're finding out. That's what we're doing. So look, I'm excited. Um, we're going to we're going to continue to do all the things necessary to make this happen. And here's the amazing thing about it. For every thumb sucking wah wah, adult sized embryo that curls up in a ball and says, "Oh, I'm sitting here looking at the feed right now, and I'm watching people register their support every single minute. I mean, it's happening. I mean, you guys see the numbers. You guys are watching the numbers on the front end. We're reaching people. We're connecting with Texas voters. All political powers inherent in the people. There's another one. There's two more. I mean, this is happening. So it's time to strap up. Understand that. Look, our job is not finished until our job is finished, and we're going to keep moving and grooving. Right. So, look, if there's any significant developments, we'll obviously keep you posted. We, again, as I've said time and time again, if we have significant developments, what good would it do for us to keep them secret? we need everybody to help make this happen. So we'll let you know. By the way, I've gotten some great feedback. You guys noticed that we've gone to a once a week email newsletter. Many of you have said how much you appreciate that, and hopefully you're seeing all the new content that's going on the website. Thank you for the feedback on that. We're steadily improving those communications. Some of you have let us know that you're appreciative of the action alerts that are coming via text message. We're doing everything we can. We're doing everything we can to keep everybody in the loop and bring every ounce of power to bear on getting independence for Texas. So, all right. Well, all right. Let me check. Boy, we got some questions over here. So let me check the questions, and then we're going to get to the thing that I'm sure all of you guys want to talk about, which I think is again just indicative of our attitude about this, which is we're on the offense. We're pushing and pushing and pushing every single way. So anyway, all right, let's take a look at this. Danny asks, is Texas preparing to build its own border patrol? The answer to that is yes, indeed. There is, I believe, HB 20 by Schaefer. Excuse me, I think it was HB 20. Not ideally, not the ideal scenario for us, right? We essentially HB 20, what he's doing is creating a border protection unit. The border protection unit is sort of its own kind of agency or branch. I'm not going to go through all the details of it, but that's essentially what it would do, is be there to fill the gap where the feds have failed and where Operation Lone Star cannot, as its plan, adequately accommodate the volume of traffic that's happening across the border. So, Matt Schaefer did a good job on the bill. As I said, we would have preferred that instead of creating a new agency, we would have preferred legislation that would have fully militarized the state guard and then opened up enlistment and then deployed them as on a border protection mission, essentially made the state guard, task them with that responsibility for securing our southern border. But alas, it was not to be. Ironically, during the committee hearing on it, I actually heard Charlie Guerin, who has never particularly been a friend of ours, actually articulate our argument on that about it being the state guard. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay. Oh, good. We got a fun one here. Please do. I'll hold the door open for you to make sure it doesn't hit your ass on the way out. John, thank you. Thank you. We always love to see Texiteers that are not out here that we're definitely looking forward to denying your visa when you want to travel here when, your Soviet-style grocery store runs out of food. Okay. Excuse me. See, this is happening, folks. Garrett says, how do you feel about Texas as an independent nation and the risks we face against global tyranny? I think that the only way that we're going to be able to push back against global tyranny is as a self-governing independent nation. I do not believe that the federal system is such that it can prevent against global tyranny. As a matter of fact, I think it is one of the facilitators of it. So if you want to know how you push back and the risks on global tyranny, against those risks, then Texas independence is your way to do that. All right. Well, let's get down to it because I know our time is limited and it's been more talk than coffee. So let me take care of that. All right. Got to clear my throat, man. This is ridiculous. Okay. So, obviously, many of you are wanting to talk about what happened with State Representative Jeff Leach tonight. And so, to do that, we're going to take a little stroll down memory lane. So, many of you know this. I mean, the story about not Leach in particular, but this idea, this slur that's hurled at us and at our people, referring to this as treason or sedition. This fight goes back many, many, many years. As a matter of fact, you can go look. There's a section in the TEXIT book about is this treason. There is there's one of the articles on the TEXIT section of the website that dispels the myth that it's treason. I mean, it's been a thing. I can remember participating in a political party convention here in Jefferson County many years ago, and I had some, shaggy hipster-looking guy get up and start that garbage when we started talking about, adding a plank to the platform, calling for a vote on Texas independence. And he got up and started shouting treason, all the same crap. And, during the debate, I did a point of personal privilege. I mean, point of order. I mean, the guy was so out of line. And I just said, look, if he's got a problem, if he thinks this is a crime, then call 911, right? Don't get up here and, start spewing that crap. If you think that I'm committing a crime by introducing this and anybody else who supports it is guilty of that crime as well, then call 911. And so, this is a multi-year thing. This is years and years and years. And our people have been used as whipping posts for these, hyperbolic pearl clutching morons who they don't have a decent argument against TEXIT or a decent argument as to why we shouldn't be able to vote on the issue. So they just point fingers and go, oh, you're a traitor. You're guilty of sedition. They say these things and it's ridiculous because somehow those aspersions that they're casting, these accusations of criminal behavior are somehow in their minds an acceptable substitute for rational argument. That's in their minds, right? And so it wasn't too long ago that we posted this article on our website, and it says, should TEXIT supporters sue opposers who accuse us of treason? And the article's dated July the 11th, 2022. Okay, so this was not quite a year ago, but there had been some conversations about it leading up to that. But this was sort of the beyond the idea of just trying to rebut the argument. This was our first public kind of question about whether or not we should actually start suing people. And the rationale behind the article was written by Mac Duncan, but the rationale behind the article was essentially this. Defamation, slanders, people like to call it, but defamation is actionable, right? It's civil and it's actionable. If I defame you, you can sue, and vice versa. And there is a section in law known as defamation per se. And I'm not going to go through the whole article with you, but I'm going to encourage you to go to the website, go to the news section on our website and look it up and read it. But it essentially is this, is that if you accuse someone of a crime, you better bring it, because unlike regular defamation, right, where you have this high bar and you have to prove economic harm, defamation per se assumes the harm, right? It assumes financial damages. And the only defense in defamation is the truth. So the article posits whether or not TEXIT supporters, when they're hit with these accusations, whether or not they should sue for defamation per se, and start suing these people, to essentially say, you can't accuse me of a crime and not be able to back it up, right? You go out, you publicly accuse me of a crime, you can't back it up, then you better be ready to shell out the money because we're going to make you pay, okay? Now, granted, that's not a cause of action for us. As an organization, the bar is a bit higher for us. Me as a public figure, right? The bar's a bit higher for me unless it's super egregious. The bar is a bit higher, and I'm actually a little more limited in what I can do than what you can do. And so what was interesting about it was, since that article had been posted, when people would kind of lose their minds on social media, and say that we were, some Texas supporters were guilty of treason or sedition, I would see our supporters go grab a link to that article and respond with it and say, hey, you need to watch your mouth, and generally it would tamp some of these people down. So, move a little bit forward to as we get to Jeff Leach. Okay. Now, you guys remember, some of you do, when Biederman filed House Bill 1359 last session. When he filed House Bill 1359 last session, Jeff Leach lost his mind. Yeah, he wasn't the only one, but he had a big Twitter meltdown. And I mean, it was just, again, when I mentioned earlier the hyperbolic pearl clutching, that's what it was, right? And so Leach has always had, and you have to remember, we didn't seek out to antagonize him. We never posted out against Leach, never slammed him for any other legislation. We go do our thing, let him go do his thing, as long as it doesn't step on ours. And oddly enough, he's been on some of the bills we've supported, right? So it's not like we went out and picked a fight with this guy. But when Biederman filed the bill, when he filed 1359, Leach lost his mind, and he started all of that, that treason, sedition, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. So, haven't really thought much about the guy, until we get to, right before the session. And, I tweeted December the 13th, right? Talking about all the things that we were doing. We were obviously gearing up, ramping up for the legislative session. I tweet, day one of the Texas legislature's 2023 session will begin with demanding we get a vote on TEXIT, which indeed did happen. It began with us demanding we get a vote on TEXIT. We in fact flew a plane over the Capitol for hours, doing that, and organized a mass call-in of TEXIT supporters. So it happened. But the next day, Leach tweets, promise it won't happen, nor should it. If you want to leave the United States, book a one-way flight. Otherwise, don't waste your time or ours. Now, nobody jingled his chain, right? But yet here he comes out of the blue. There was no tweet at him. There was nothing. He just decides, well, today is my day to be a jerk. And mission accomplished. He did it, right? So, rocking right along. I mean, you guys, our social media warriors out there, our online response corps, ripped him up, and he had it coming, right? But I didn't say anything. The organization didn't say anything, whatever. Well, start the legislative session and get to some of the early votes, right? There's January the 12th, and we had no day of action up there, right? We had no day of action with TEXIT supporters, nothing like that on January the 12th. But he decides he's going to take another poke. Great to see so many Texas secessionists in the House gallery this morning, loudly and proudly saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. Let's talk about, Alex, I'll take things that didn't happen for 1,000. Okay. But there it is, right? Again, unprovoked. He's poking at our people. He's poking at our people. Well, there we go. So we get to the day, and some of you will know this, March 6th, Slayton files House Bill 3596, and on cue, out comes little Jeff. This same state representative who here is violating his very oath of office will proudly pledge allegiance to the American flag every day when we commence the Texas legislation. This ridiculous bill is the very definition of hypocritical and seditious treason, and it is already dead. Well, it's not. He doesn't know what's in the bill. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious he's never read it. And if he did, then that just means he's a liar, right? But anyway, so there it is. And by the way, he did the same thing to Biederman, right? He went on a meltdown. His meltdown against Kyle Biederman last session had never even read the bill. He went on a meltdown on Biederman before the bill had been filed. Okay, if that tells you anything, right? So then he goes out there and then he tweets this. He says, he's retweeting Chad Hasty, who's a radio host out there in Lubbock. He says, any legislator who signs on to support this reckless, seditious, and treasonous bill will not pass a single bill this session. This isn't a threat. It's a promise. Oh, issues. Well, okay. Well, seems that Morgan McComb decided to respond to him and say, well, wait a minute. Are you accusing me of treasonous sedition? A person who is tired of living under the boot of the federal government, Texans who love this state? And then he says, if you believe that Texas should secede from the United States of American, that's his typo, right? Then yes, unequivocally, yes. Wow. So on March 6th, Jeff Leach essentially went to one of our supporters, and even when given the opportunity to back away from the ledge, right, to stop from stepping off and plunging into the abyss, he doubled down and said, yes, you are guilty of treason and sedition. So it says, right? Well, that all changed today. When this happened, hang on. That all changed today when this happened.
Is that correct?
I'm actually here as Casey Littlejohn with National Process Service, Jeff Leach. I have a citation here for you out of Parker County. You have 20 days from today to contact Parker County Clerk's office.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, you got to testify on the bill, though, because you signed an affidavit.
Did you register for the bill?
As neutral.
Did you register on this, but on this bill?
As a neutral.
Can you sit down, please, in front of the committee? There are criminal penalties associated with what you've done registering for a bill. Do you have your contact information?
Yeah, and I follow policy and procedure under the JVCC.
Okay. Are you willing to step back in the back room and have a discussion?
So that happened. State Representative Jeff Leach was served with a summons for a lawsuit. In fact, the lawsuit was brought on behalf of Morgan McComb, right? And of course, the attorney is Paul Davis, who is our attorney in the Facebook suit. And specifically, it is over what he said, his accusation that she is guilty of treason and sedition. Right. And if you want to get down into the brass tacks of it, in the lawsuit itself, it specifies, it says, in fact, there is no law of the United States or other applicable law that makes it a crime of sedition or treason to believe that Texas should secede from the United States. Both seditious conspiracy and treason are serious crimes under the United States Code. Seditious conspiracy is defined as if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof, they shall each be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. And this is 18 U.S.C. 2384, treason, which also is defined in the Constitution. It says treason is defined as follows: whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. And the lawsuit goes on to say, in fact, contrary to Leach's statements, the act of supporting the TEXIT bill does not fall under the definitions of either of these two crimes. In fact, withdrawing from the Union doesn't either. It's been the point that we have made time and time again. If you say that it's unconstitutional, show me in the Constitution. If you say it's illegal, show me in the law. Every one of those things mention force. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to simply give the people of Texas a vote on whether or not Texas should reassert its status as an independent nation. We've been abundantly clear. We have been crystal clear about the peaceful legislative process. And so it's one of the reasons that these accusations of sedition and treason are so egregious, because we have been so clear on this issue of where we stand about the process, about how this is supposed to take place, about how we eschew violence as a tool of political change. Because of all of those things that we put out there, it makes it so much more egregious. And you know what this is like? This is like when Facebook stopped allowing you to post links to the TEXIT section of our website and classified us as a dangerous or harmful organization. They categorized us in the same category as Al Qaeda and ISIS. And that's why we were so upset about it. And so now, instead of some little piddly podunk, numbnut know nothing on Twitter who is hurling these accusations out there, shouting into a void to their 3 followers or whatever, this is coming from a sitting state representative who should know better, that words matter. Words have meaning and words matter. And what comes out of your mouth or through your fingers to that keyboard and out onto the internet, it has meaning. And so when you go out there and you accuse our people of something that carries the penalty of death, something's got to be done. And so that's exactly what happened. It's exactly why Jeff Leach got sued. And as I told the reporter at Texas Monthly today, he asked if this was the first time we'd done it. I said yes, because our people have had to put up with this crap for too long. They've had to be bullied and pushed and slammed with accusations like this for years. Look, that's happened to me since 1996. And you know what? I've got a thick skin. I don't care what they call me. I just don't care anymore. But I don't want them to say it about you. I don't want them to say it about you. And as an organization, we have made a commitment that we're going to fight these things. When it makes sense, we're going to go take these people to the paint, because we're sick and tired of having our people whipped on simply for wanting to uphold their rights under Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution, period. A fundamental right and an inalienable right. You literally are getting accused of a crime that carries the death penalty because you want to vote on how you're governed. And I don't think we should put up with it anymore. And you know what? We're not. It's why Facebook got sued. We had no designs on suing Facebook. Last thing I wanted to do that day was wake up and go pick a fight with the largest social media company in the world. It was not on the radar. I mean, we didn't even have a budget for this kind of stuff. But some point, you got to say enough is enough. And if we're going to go out there and we want to be able to fight the TEXIT issue on a level playing field, then we can't allow the other side to get away with crap like this. We have to fight it, because an unrebutted assertion like this, people just assume it's the truth. And now, by virtue of a lawsuit like this, the one against Facebook, the next time somebody goes in there and says, hey, this is treason, this is sedition, we've got an opportunity to go, you know what? The last person who said that to us of any stature or import, excuse me, and that's really crediting too much to Jeff Leach, but the last person who did that got slapped with a defamation suit. And you know, I'm under the suspicion, I believe that Jeff Leach doesn't think the thing's going to stick. I mean, I think maybe initially, but listening to his comments later on in the committee hearing, and I'm running out of time, so I don't have time to play it, but listening to his comments, I get the feeling that maybe he is concerned, and he should be. He should be, because he was given every opportunity to back down off of that, and Leach has this idea somehow that words matter in law, but his words don't. He has an attitude of arrogance and superiority that we saw last session during the debate over 1359, that we're seeing this session. And who knows, you know, perhaps maybe the root of the problems that we are having with 1359, or with 3596 this session, may go all the way back to the promise that he made. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I would encourage every one of you, as TEXIT supporters, to use this as an opportunity to say no more. Do not accept when the opposition lies about you or accuses you of criminal misdeeds. Do not. You know who you are. We know who you are. And now the opposition knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that we're not going to lie down. I don't know that anyone has ever participated in a lawsuit like this against a sitting state legislator. I don't know. I don't know. And so I'm very thankful that Morgan McComb filed the suit. I'm very thankful that Paul Davis is representing her. And I'm thankful for the role that we're going to play in helping to support the lawsuit. It is past time to send these people a clear message that we will not tolerate being defamed. We're not. And so let this be a lesson to any of you out there that are TEXIT opposers. We welcome debate. We would love to have legitimate adult conversations, rational arguments about the future of Texas, about the pros and cons of TEXIT, about we'll even debate whether or not you think we should be able to vote on the issue. We're perfectly open to that. But do not let the accusations of criminal misdeeds, of treason and sedition, you don't even let those pass through your gums. Don't do it. Just don't do it. We can have a debate. A matter of fact, you have to remember, it's like I told one of those reporters today. We're out there advocating for while we will also advocate for TEXIT because we are pro-TEXIT, fundamentally, we're advocating for the right of all Texans to be able to vote on the issue, whether they're for it or against it or undecided. You put it on a ballot and all of this stuff settles, right? It all shakes out. There'll be a debate and people will say what they're going to say on these issues and they'll weigh these things out and then people will get a chance to vote on it. But it is very evident that until this goes on a ballot, the opposition has zero intention of coming up with rational arguments. They don't have any, right? We know that. That's why they're doing this kind of garbage. But, we'll see how it goes. Now, I was asked about this. Someone had sent in and asked earlier before Coffee Talk if I thought that Leach had legislative immunity. And so did a little research, and obviously we didn't think he did, right? But did a little research and actually came across an attorney general's opinion from 2021 solicited by Briscoe Kane about the idea of whether or not the legislature could meet in a place that was not the Capitol. And tucked inside that Attorney General's opinion was this little nugget. It says right here, Texas Constitution, Article 3, Section 21, the interpretive commentary to this provision emphasizes the location of actions that take place on the floor of the House by members or from the floor of the House, and states, and here's the important part, 3 things. This provision gives absolute immunity for any speech or debate made on the floor of the House by the members thereof, and the protection extends beyond to reports and resolutions which, though written, may be reproduced in speech. The privilege extends to things generally done in a session of either house by one of its members in relation to the business before it. So in other words, if they're on the floor of the House, right, or in a committee, they say those things. You know, they pretty much say whatever they want to, and they cannot be held liable. Then it says, in a speech made from the floor or before committees or other proceedings directly connected with the legislature, a member may say what he pleases, even though his speech is abusive, and cannot be sued for slander or libel or otherwise questioned outside of the legislature. Okay? So again, if they're on the floor or in front of a committee, they can say some of the most outrageous, egregious things and still not be held liable. But here's the fun part. I got a little box around it. For speech or writing made outside their respective houses, legislators remain subject to legal restraints as other persons. So, according to the Attorney General, and that's actually just, that part was not even the Attorney General's opinion. That was the commentary on the provision in the Constitution, which essentially says, look, if you're operating in your personal capacity, and you let your mouth write a check that your butt can't cash, you own it. That's on you. And so hopefully that answers your question there. He doesn't really have any immunity. As a matter of fact, if you look at his Twitter account where he was tweeting this, it's chocked full of campaign items and personal items, not just legislative business. So it's obvious that it was on a personal social media outlet. It's his personal account. And so he has no immunity. He can't make an argument that, well, it's an official state account, right? So it was part of the course of his business. At the end of the day, he has 2 options. He either goes in and says, look, I was doing some hyperbolic pearl clutching. It's not really a crime. I was just being rhetorical. In which case, he publicly admits that it's not a crime and that he was just, being extra. Or number 2, he's got to go in and prove it. He's got to go in and prove that Morgan is guilty of treason and sedition. And we've already read the definitions. So best of luck. He's already essentially doubled down on it and said that he firmly, wholeheartedly believes it. So, we'll see how it shakes down. But that being said, look, we launched a website related particularly to the Facebook lawsuit, but getting ready for some more of this sort of thing. And I would encourage you to go check it out. It's at defendtexit.com. That's why I said do not use Super Chat tonight. Head over, if you're going to make a donation, head to defendtexit.com. Make a contribution over there. We actually don't get a single cent of that. That actually goes straight into a trust account held by the attorney for legal expenses for things like, the Facebook suit and, all those other things. But that we actually never passes through us, goes straight to the attorney. So head over to defendtexit.com, make your contribution. We're going to need it. There's no doubt about it, because as I said to that reporter today, this may be the first suit of its kind, but I guarantee you it won't be the last, because we're not putting up with this crap anymore. We're going to keep fighting until we win TEXIT. And that means going and doing work in the cities and the counties. That may mean some lawsuits that we have to file against people because they don't want to play fair. They don't want to be rational. Whatever it means, we're going to fight for TEXIT 365 days out of the year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I mean, we truly are a 24-hour operation, which is why I drink so much coffee. Okay. So I see, I'm out of time. I see this, but look, it's been a while, right? I'm going to encourage you guys, those of you who are posting TEXIT questions. I would encourage, because tonight was a little bit focused on catching up with some of the things that we've been up to in this thing in particular, and I did answer a few questions. But it appears the bulk of the questions coming in tonight are TEXIT questions. And so I'm going to encourage you right now to head to texitnow.org, right? It's like that, TEXIT now, but .org. And we have about 100 of the most asked questions. Saw a question in here about Medicare, private insurance, healthcare. Those questions are all answered. And some questions about the border and about military. I mean, they're all there. And if they're not answered for you in total, there's a form on each of those pages that you can fill out and send a question in. And we're happy to answer those questions for you. So look, you guys have been phenomenal. I want to thank you for being patient while I have been traveling my tail off. Look, we're booking speaking engagements in August and September. I've been on the road for feels like about 2 to 2.5 years at this point, in long stretches. And so this thing shows absolutely zero signs of slowing down until we get to the goal line, and for that I'm very thankful. We're building momentum. We keep pressing forward with the issue, and it's all because of you, right? I mean, it's literally because of you guys. It's to you, our supporters. It's to you, our members. It's to you, our local leaders and our district leaders and our national leadership team. It's you. You're the ones who are making this happen. And I've seen some phenomenal things out of our team over the last, couple of months. It's been more than a couple of months, but really just something about when that legislative session started, you guys put your hand to the plow and just said, look, we're going for it. We're going to go the distance. And I've seen some pretty amazing things. I've seen a 90-year-old man, David Bruning's father-in-law, go out there and just absolutely decimate every other volunteer and voter contact in a month. I mean, it's been amazing to see some of these things, to see the meetings in Huntsville. When I went to go speak to our local group there, and just what an amazing group of people they were. And some of these others, to see these other organizations out there going, look, we're on board the TEXIT train. You help us help us understand what we need to do to help make TEXIT a reality. To hear the compliments, to hear how people, staff, and other people at the ledge compliment you, and talk about how you are, compliment our ledge team, and compliment the way that we're going about this. We're already getting candidates signing up to run in their primaries. I mean, it's happening. We had that Edwards County resolution passed, and there's news about, if you don't know what that is, and maybe you're going to start seeing that in more counties. Maybe there is something that's going to happen in the cities. Maybe you will get a vote on this issue in November, but maybe you'll get one in the primaries as well. There's just all the options are there for us to keep doing what we're doing, and we're winning. I know some days are tougher than others, and sometimes it's hard, but we're winning, and we're winning because of you. So thank you. Okay, folks, that is going to be a wrap for tonight. I know I went a little bit over. If you have not already pledged your support, head over to tnm.me/vote. That's tnm.me/vote, or become a member. Head over to tnm.me/join. Oh, this is going to make the Brunigs and Paul Roby so happy. And become a volunteer. Head over to tnm.me/volunteer. Become a volunteer today. Look, help us get out there and reach out and connect with other Texas voters. Wow. It was so good to be back with you guys. I'm not going to lie. I have greatly enjoyed this tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you. Go look on the calendar. The calendar's still full, and it's still filling up. So if I don't see you on here soon, then hopefully I will see you on the road. But until then, friends, I want to leave you with the words that I leave you with every single time we're together. And it's been a while since I've spoken them to you. I want to leave you with the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now. And the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone. Let's go win.